Hey, it's Typhlosion going over my personal Draft League results for the Lost Ones Draft League Season 2. So this will just be an overview of what the Torigoth Typhlosions had on the roster and how useful each Pokemon was. So starting off with Aaron, who was my first draft. Probably would say he was the MVP this season. Definitely got the most use in the matches where I didn't completely mess up. Just overall powerhouse. Helped with the other team members by giving them Sun in some cases. Really nothing specific to really say about him, just that he's generally been really helpful and good wall breaker and sort of sweeper. Because once Sticky Web was up in most matches where I was actually capable of doing anything against the opponent, he could usually just take out everything with a flamethrower or solar beam. So Luca Megarine, not going in drafting order, just going by the order of what is on this first page at least. So Luca, similar to last season, really didn't get much use. Honestly, she acted more as just a deterrent than anything, just by having a bulky water type on my roster. And the other variant of Luca. So really not much to say about her. I can't remember any matches where she really came in handy. And Rin Kakamine, same as last season. I drafted her just so that the person who got Coco couldn't use her. Because a Coco Raichu core would have been really annoying to deal with, so as long as someone else gets Coco, I'm going to be taking a Alolan Raichu so they don't get it. And then it ends up being a good deterrent against whoever has Coco, but in general, just kind of a so opponents don't get it pick. And there's not a lot of stuff in that tier that I would have been picking otherwise, so it's not like it's doing any harm to pick something just so others don't get it. But yeah, she didn't really do anything at all. Just nothing. Then Typhlosion. Probably one of the more useful Pokemon that I've had in the season, though I didn't use him as much as I should have. There was probably a few matches where I could have done better if I had brought him. But then on the other hand, there was some matches where I probably would have been better off not having him when I did have him. But mascot, so gotta use him. Just wouldn't be the same without using a Typhlosion. Alright, so Ribombee. I'd say this was probably the second most important Pokemon I had on my team this season. Sticky Web is just really, really valuable against a lot of stuff and lets Aaron and others do their jobs much better. Really, all she's really done is just set up Sticky Web, but that's all she needs to do, and that's the most important thing for her to do. Then Zapdos hasn't been quite as useful as he was in the previous season, but still good core with Charizard. Really, the main issue is that I lacked Mimikyu this season, so that really messed up my whole team composition. So, Clefable. The thing I picked as a substitute for Mimikyu since I couldn't get Mimikyu, this was a complete mistake. There was only one match where I used her at all, because I picked her for Unaware, since I couldn't get Mimikyu for Disguise. And all but one match had opponents where Mimikyu would have been extremely useful, but Clefable's Unaware just wasn't. So there was only one match where I used her. Complete mistake. I should have gone with something else. And then by the time I could trade for stuff, no one wanted Clefable, and there was nothing good to pick in Clefable's place for a trade, so just a completely wasted slot. Then Silvally, of course, during the league I was running it as Silvally Normal because that's how I drafted it as. I picked Silvally Normal because it has the most versatility. It can run a Z move of very wide range of types. It's not restricted to a memory item, so it can run lots and lots of stuff and doesn't have to worry about type disadvantages. Just takes neutral from everything except fighting. And I have plenty of other stuff that deal with fighting, so normal Silvally is definitely always going to be my first pick for a Silvally. So just generally one of the more useful Pokemon with all its coverage. I'd say probably third most useful in this season, behind Charizard and Ribombee, just because of so much good coverage. And Klefki. So Klefki could have been a lot more useful had I used it better. There was the match against the Holy Pichus. Klefki was a complete mistake because I didn't consider that I wouldn't be able to Thunder Wave anything as long as the terrain was up against the Tapu Lele. So that made bringing Thunder Wave a complete waste. I could have used something else. And there was just really nothing that I could do to touch that team. But in a few other matches, the screens and priority defog, very useful. I'm not sure if I actually used priority defog too much, or if I just used Zapdos for defog more, but still the screens were a big help in a few matches. Then Nidoking, I think this is my second to last pick that I've gone over. I should have been keeping track. I hope I didn't skip anyone. So in matches where I needed a lot more offensive power, Nidoking was way better than Silvally. It does have a bunch of really common weaknesses, but as long as Sticky Web was up, that wasn't too much of a concern. Most of the time when Nidoking completely failed to do stuff, it was because Sticky Web either wasn't up, or I just made some really bad plays, or it was against stuff that Nidoking really couldn't switch out from for various reasons, or I had nothing to switch into, and Nidoking just had to go down, which was probably a mistake most of the time anyway. Alright, so one more after this. So Fortress, there for a Rapid Spinner, another Stealth Rock Setter. Pivot really didn't get to do much. I think I only used it in 2 matches. And then lastly, Azelf. Didn't really use Azelf too much either. And one of the matches where I did use it, I'm pretty sure I messed up with something and didn't use it right. And the other version that I was running. So overall performance in this season was really, really bad. I made a lot of mistakes when prepping for things, and then I got outpredicted probably more than I outpredicted anyone. And then not getting Mimikyu, that was a huge deal before the matches even began. By not having Mimikyu, my team was just really not well put together. I was lacking the final piece of my core and had nothing to replace it with that actually worked. And then pretty much almost every single match I lost, it was against something that I could have dealt with if I had a Mimikyu. And with Mimikyu being the second MVP of last season, I realize now that if I had not had Mimikyu last season, I probably would not have won most of my matches back then either. So for next season, hopefully I'll get Mimikyu and it won't get sniped from me. Or at the very least, I'll be able to trade for Mimikyu afterwards. What was especially disappointing is that the person who drafted Mimikyu instead of me this season, they didn't really do much with it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they used it in most of their matches. I didn't watch all their matches, but they lost the majority of their matches, I think. So, and they refused to trade for Mimikyu multiple times, even after they already had a pretty bad record. So obviously they just wanted to keep anyone else from having something so useful that could have helped them in the rest of the league. So in a few days, I'll have results on the league in general with the placements of all the players and teams, and then have the announcement for Season 3 in that same video. So, see you next time, and if you want to join in Season 3, then check out my competitive Pokemon Discord server, though I'm not sure, by the time this video is going up, we might have already taken the signups. I'm not sure exactly. Depends on how long it takes for the playoffs to finish up and how long it takes to get a full 12 coaches signed up. But if we're still taking signups, you can check out my competitive Pokemon Discord server, linked in the description, and join there. So, see you next time!